Today I messed up by peeking at my Christmas gifts. It was Christmas of 8th grade. I was 13 male. Smartphones had been out for a while, so I was ready for mine. It's all I asked for. Didn't ask for a specific one, just a smartphone. As Christmas neared, gifts started to pile up under the tree. One box had my name on it and looked like the box for a phone. I couldn't wait. About a week before the big day, I snuck the box into the bathroom at night and carefully undid the tape, revealing the box. I was right, it was a smartphone box. What I was not prepared for was my dad's tomfoolery. I opened the phone box to reveal a seatbelt belt. I couldn't believe it. I knew instantly that on the day of, I was going to have to come off as ecstatic about seeing the box, then turn that into disappointment after opening it. I was able to pull it off, but it was very stressful. At the end of gifts, my dad told my brother and I we had to sign a contract that we would share the last gift. He brought out a box that on top was a big helicopter pilot's manual with random cords and stuff inside. He's not a pilot. At the bottom of it all was a baggie that had 2 new smartphones in it. What a guy. Also, anyone still getting Christmas gifts, don't peek. If your parents ever find out, tried it at my mom's house too and got caught, they will be very upset and it won't feel worth it at all. Just wait. Today I messed up by peeing my 23F pants on the first day of my study trip with my crush. Here's the background. For several months now, I've been suffering from severe bladder problems. More precisely, due to a neurological issue, I have urge incontinence. My bladder has uncontrollable spasms, so I often have urges that leave me only +/1 minute before completely losing control. So it's manageable in some situations, but in others I have to resort to protection, diapers. Yes. It's taken a while for me to dare leave the house wearing these in public, and every time I do, it's still a big source of anxiety for me. But at least it's a reliable solution to keep my situation invisible. So here's what happened. I'm finishing my studies in biology, and I've been lucky enough to be hired for a plant biology internship in Bangladesh, and as luck would have it, I'm not only going with my research supervisor, but also with John, another young researcher I've met recently and with whom things are going really well, and to be honest, a mutual attraction is developing between us. Of course, he doesn't know about my bladder situation yet. Arriving at the airport, it's panic. I've planned everything, but I've forgotten my protection, apart from a spare for the flight. So I spend the whole flight stressed out at the thought of having to get some discreetly as soon as I arrive. Fortunately, as soon as we land, I manage to get away to the first supermarket I see and buy the only pack of adult diapers I can find. At the time, I'm already bummed because this product looks less discreet than the one I usually need, but whatever. The next day arrives. After breakfast, we head out into the field. No sooner had we stepped off the bus than the urge hits. I'm used to these horrible moments. First it's a wave of panic, then I have to take stock. Is there a toilet nearby or not? If there is, I'll do everything I can to hold on. If there isn't, it may sound gross, but I've got into the habit of letting myself go because I know I can only hold on for a few seconds anyway, so I might as well not fight in vain. In these moments, I always have to make a lot of effort to breathe calmly and look natural so as not to arouse suspicion, knowing that at least I have reliable protection. But I know that panic always shows a little on my face. And then disaster. 1 second later, I realize that in addition to not being discreet, the protection I bought at the airport is useless and my jeans are soaked. Everything happened very quickly. I was shaking with shame, John was looking at me in disbelief, and to save face I slowly collapsed against a bench, feigning a drop in blood pressure to explain this sudden incontinence. It was the shame of my life, and I pretended that it was the first time that this had happened to me even though it's my daily life. Today I messed up by accidentally sexually harassing my boss. What I meant to do was write an email to my boss to offer my help with a project he was working on. Outlook has a handy autocomplete feature. Normally, when I start to type the word assistance, I just hit tab and Outlook finishes the word for me. But today, as I started the email to my boss, somehow I accidentally sent the email instead of hitting tab. So instead of offering my assistance on a project, the message I sent was just, "Let me know if you want my ass." Thankfully, my boss was understanding and had a good laugh at my mistake. I changed my Outlook settings so that, hopefully, I can't accidentally send emails too early again. The only problem now is the endless stupid jokes from my co-workers. Today I messed up by not disposing of used condoms earlier. I slept over at my girlfriend's, and we used protection. For privacy reasons, I don't throw away used condoms and their wrappers at her place, because we're as secretive as can be about our intimacy. Not necessarily because we'd be reprimanded by parents, but we'd rather spare the embarrassment. Sometimes I have untraceable means of disposing said items, such as her fireplace during cold seasons, and sometimes I just have to take them with me and dump it in bins outside. She lives not too far off in the countryside, and I'm in a nearby town. There are literally no bins where she lives, so I just tie the condoms in a knot, put them in my bag, take a bus and go home. Sometimes I pass these garbage bins and forget to discharge my contraband. This was one of those times. A black SUV pulls to the side, 2 cops hop out and ask me about a missing, stolen smartphone they've been tracking. They must have been doing this for a while that morning. They ask to search my belongings for it. They go over my pockets, find nothing, and only my school bags left out. That's where I had about 4 knotted up, nasty, mostly dried up, genital residue covered, filled in used condoms, all 4 in a smaller compartment of my rucksack. All accompanied by their beautiful wrappers, and a small quantity of lube that the condoms were initially coated with inside. Sorry. Now you can see why this is a fuck up. The cops were slightly on edge, though polite. And despite the sort of unethical approach, denying them access to my stuff would only arouse suspicion. The I know my rights card doesn't really work where I live. I knew they wouldn't find anything, so I hesitantly, let the guy do his job. His hand rummages through the bigger compartment, then the middle one, then the smallest. I see his hand squeeze what I believe to be my condoms. Why would he do that? ADHD? Stress ball muscle memory? Anyway, he fucked up as much as I did. He tried to hide it, but I felt him cringing inside. I'm on a lookout for a Reddit post from his perspective. He then tried cracking a joke in which he tried to face the facts, but it didn't diffuse the situation. I was stone-faced the entire time. We shared similar feelings. He lets his partner know I'm clean, then they book it. Maybe he'll look first before snooping through anyone else's shit. And maybe I'll throw my shit away before I scar anyone else's conscience. Today I messed up by stalking my husband's Reddit account. When we met in the entire 3 years we dated before we married, I was always firm about not wanting kids. My husband told me that his stance on kids was along the lines of kind of undecided, but overall not a good idea. Always said he used to want kids but changed his mind later in life. I wholeheartedly believed him until I decided to snoop. We're both pretty avid Reddit users and he wanted to brag to me about how many upvotes one of his comments had. I watched him as he clicked on his profile to find it, and I caught his username and a glimpse of another comment where it looked like he was talking about me. We've never tried hiding each other's accounts from one another, so it's not like his was secret, but I still feel a little bad for letting curiosity get the best of me. I looked up his username later in the day to check out what he had to say about me. To his credit, he was gushing about me and it was really sweet. But, quite a few of his other comments also talked about how he wishes he could have children of his own and that the only thing stopping him is me. Talks about how his desire to be with me outmatches his desire to have kids, but he's still heartbroken that he can't have both. I still don't know what to make of it. On the one hand, I'm hurt that in the almost 10 years we've been together he's never talked to me about this and instead lied to make it seem like we were on the same page. I feel immense guilt that I've taken such a choice away from him, especially after reading about just how badly he wants it. On the other hand, and I can't believe I'm about to type this out, it's making me rethink my stance. For the first time in my 32 years of existence, I'm uncertain about whether I want kids or not. I've always thought pregnancy/birth sounds like a nightmare and I simply don't have the mental bandwidth to devote all of my time to raising a child, but suddenly I'm having daydreams about it all. Hell, just last night I fell asleep while fantasizing about what would happen if my birth control failed and we decided to just roll with it instead of getting an abortion. Every argument I try to come up with against it is easily refuted by how our life is currently going. We own our house, we both have good jobs that pay well, and I work from home on my own schedule so we wouldn't have to worry about daycare or extended maternity leave. The fact that I'm even reconsidering is absolutely terrifying. What if I think on it for another year, decide to go for it, and then regret it? What if I'm only thinking about it now because I want to make him happy? What if I decide to ignore these thoughts and later regret not trying before we got too old? What if he thinks he wants me now but later resents me for not letting him live the life he's always wanted?